I'm Karen Morgan, and this is the Purple Bike Podcast. Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about 1987. In 1987, I was working at my first job as a designer for a company that had psychiatric hospitals around the country. So the majority of my job was just choosing pleasing colors and non-aggressive artwork that could be used in facilities that had psychiatric patients. So a lot of landscapes and pleasant scenes of nature. The best thing that I learned from my first job after college was how to travel. This was before GPS, before cell phones, before anybody could find you if you went off the road into a ditch. So at 22 years old, I got really good at doing things like flying from Atlanta to LAX, renting a car, getting a car rental map, and following that car rental map to exciting places like Bakersfield. It was a great education, and I'm kind of amazed that I'm still here. Some really cool stuff came out in 1987. Nike first introduced their tagline, "Just Do It." Dan Whedon of the ad agency Whedon and Kennedy created that tagline to go along with Nike's first major television ad campaign. It had a lot of different commercials for different activities like running and walking and cross-training and basketball and women's fitness, and they created the tagline to tie them all together. At the time, nobody thought they even needed that tagline, so they almost didn't even use it. I guess it's a good thing for Nike that they just did it. In 1987, Red Bull was first created by a company based in Austria. Red Bull was the first energy drink that they marketed to trendy upscale markets. So they first introduced it at Austrian ski resorts. It is now the highest selling energy drink in the world. In 1987, the Plano Molding Company came out with caboodles. Caboodles are just basically a tackle box for makeup. Apparently, Vanna White was using a tackle box to organize her makeup, and some smart person from the Plano Molding Company saw this and created the caboodle. Now, why a tackle box didn't work, I don't know, but I would rather fish than wear makeup, so I am probably not the best person to ask. Hooked on Phonics was launched in 1987. Hooked on Phonics taught people how to read by using phonetics, which is sounding out each letter. Here is my buddy Brian Regan, who explains it in the best way possible.
Not sure what phonics is, but I saw the girl that was hooked on it, and I thought, she's got a problem with it, apparently. Have you seen that commercial? Hooked on Phonics, work for me. Yeah, she's adorable, you know. I was thinking, wouldn't that be weird if she was applying what she learned and she couldn't get the commercial straight, you know? Hooking on Phonics, working for me. Hooking on Phonics, working for me. Okay, cut.
We had some super cool music in 1987. The number one song of 1987 was Walk Like an Egyptian by the Bangles. The number two song was Alone by Heart. Whitney Houston first came on the scene in 1987 with I Wanna Dance with Somebody. We also had that great song by Whitesnake, Here I Go Again on My Own, that had the cool video with Tawny Kitaen crawling all over that car in very untoward ways. We also had songs from Genesis and Bruce Hornsby and the Range. We had several songs from girls that I like to call mall girls. We had Debbie Gibson and Kim Wilde. And Tiffany. Tiffany actually did a music tour in malls. And then we have some songs that I like to call just very 1987 songs. We had songs from Wang Chunged, Billy Vera and the Beaters.
What did you think I would do at this moment when you're standing before me with tears in your eyes?
Chris DeBerg. We could not get away from that Lady in Red song. We had Suzanne Vega.
My name is Luca.
With Luca.
I live on the second floor. I live upstairs from you.
And then we had Salt and Pepper. This song to me is the most 1987 song of 1987. Some of my favorite musicians are singer-songwriters like John Hiatt, Lyle Lovett, Guy Clark, and Robert Earl Keen. I want to talk about these guys because they were really a great part of my life, but I'll spread them out over a few different podcast episodes. Today we'll start with John Hiatt because 1987 was an important year for him. John Hiatt has been nominated for 9 Grammy Awards. Although he had made 7 prior albums before 1987, he finally came into success with his 8th album, which was Bring the Family. 2 of the songs on this album have been extensively covered, Have a Little Faith in Me and Thing Called Love, which later became a big hit for Bonnie Raitt. We are so lucky that John Hiatt likes to come to Maine because we see him live every time he comes up here.
Let's go to Memphis in the meantime, baby. Memphis in the meantime, girl.
A few of the TV shows that premiered in 1987 were 30-something, which ran until 1991, and this was about a group of people in their 30s, who were just getting through life with work and family. It was an ensemble cast. It was great. It won 13 Emmys and 2 Golden Globe Awards. I also loved Super Dave, which was a show about Super Dave Osborne, who was kind of like Evel Knievel gone awry.
Are we off?
Yeah, guys, are we off? Yeah, we're off, yeah.
Oh, I think I heard my collarbone snap. I can't believe how much pain I'm in.
Super Dave was played by Bob Einstein, who sadly passed away last year. He was also on Curb Your Enthusiasm and Arrested Development, and he won a lot of Emmy Awards as a writer. In 1987, we also had The Tracy Ullman Show, which was a comedy sketch show starring the amazingly talented Tracy Ullman. Now, the format for this show was created and produced by James L. Brooks, who has had an amazing career. He had TV shows like The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Taxi, and he had movies like Broadcast News, As Good as It Gets, Terms of Endearment. In 1987, he hired cartoonist Matt Groening to create a little animated series called The Simpsons, which first debuted on The Tracy Ullman Show and later became its own show and is now the longest-running scripted primetime television series in America. We had a lot of good movies in 1987, so here goes. The top movie that year was 3 Men and a Baby, which was directed by Leonard Nimoy. It starred Tom Selleck, Steve Guttenberg, and Ted Danson, who were all living the fun life as bachelors, and then somebody dropped them off a baby, and their life was much less fun. But it was more meaningful, which is basically the definition of parenting. The number 2 movie in 1987 was Fatal Attraction, starring Michael Douglas as a married man who has an affair with Glenn Close, who is an obsessed crazy woman who murders rabbits, and Ann Archer as the wife who shoots her dead in the bathtub. It was an uplifting film that scared everybody. The number 3 movie was Beverly Hills Cop 2 with Eddie Murphy. The number 4 movie was Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams. The number 5 movie was one of my favorites, Moonstruck, with Cher, Nicolas Cage, Danny Aiello, and Vincent Gardenia. In Moonstruck, Cher plays Loretta Castorini, who was a widow who fell in love with her fiancé's younger brother, who is played by Nicolas Cage. Now, Cher won the Oscar for Best Actress. Olympia Dukakis won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. And Moonstruck also won Best Screenplay.
Loretta Castorini, will you marry me?
Yes, Ronnie. In front of all these people, I'll marry you.
You love him, Loretta?
Ma, I love him awful.
Oh, God, that's too bad.
She loves me.
Other movies that year were Lethal Weapon with Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, Wall Street, which was an Oliver Stone movie with Michael Douglas, who won the Oscar for his performance. The Untouchables had Kevin Costner and Sean Connery and Robert De Niro, and it was a great film. A little scary dinner scene with a baseball bat, but otherwise fun. On a lighter note, we had Princess Bride, which was directed and co-produced by Rob Reiner with an amazing ensemble cast. Princess Bride was the story of a farmhand named Wesley who went to rescue his true love, Princess Buttercup, before she married the awful Prince Humperdinck.
Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream.
How can you not love this movie? There's so much to love. My favorite characters in the movie were played by Wallace Shawn and Mandy Patinkin. One of the worst movies that we had in 1987, which of course I had to see because I love Andrew McCarthy, was Mannequin. Andrew McCarthy played a guy who was a window designer at a department store, and Kim Cattrall played a mannequin that came to life, but only when she was around him, and James Spader played the evil store manager. The reviews for Mannequin were brutal. The New York Times wrote, "It's never a disappointment when the mannequin, which comes to life only intermittently, turns back into wood. Ouch." We had Raising Arizona with Holly Hunter and Nicolas Cage, who each had 2 movies that came out that year. Holly Hunter also starred in Broadcast News. I love this movie. It was written and produced and directed by James L. Brooks, who we talked about earlier, and it starred Holly Hunter as a TV news reporter who was very type A, and she scheduled her cries every day, but she was really good at her job. Albert Brooks played her friend, who was a really smart reporter but a very sweaty newscaster, and William Hurt played the handsome on-air guy who was really handsome on the news but dumber than a box of rocks. I loved this movie. 1987 also brought us Dirty Dancing with Jennifer Grey as somebody whose name was Baby, unfortunately, and she fell in love with her dance instructor, who was Patrick Swayze, and no one ever put her in a corner ever again. There were a few darker movies that year. We had Witches of Eastwick, which was based on the John Updike novel. It had Cher and Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer and Susan Sarandon, who all played witches. We also had The Lost Boys, which was about teenage vampires. We had No Way Out, which was not really dark, but a very suspenseful movie. And that had Kevin Costner and Gene Hackman, and it was great. Let's just say Kevin Costner looked really nice in his uniform, and there was a big twist at the end. We also got to have some funny movies in 1987. We had Roxanne with Steve Martin and Daryl Hannah. Roxanne is basically a retelling of Cyrano de Bergerac with Steve Martin in the title role. We had the Mel Brooks movie Spaceballs, which was a spoof of Star Wars that had Rick Moranis and John Candy and Bill Pullman. It was co-written, produced, and directed by Mel Brooks, who was also in the film. My favorite character in that movie was Pizza the Hut. Baby Boom was a movie starring Diane Keaton, Sam Shepard, and Harold Ramis. Diane Keaton played this woman who was very focused on her career, and she had no intention to have kids, and then a long-lost cousin passed away and left her a baby. Hilarity ensues. Hello Again was a really cute movie with Shelley Long, Judith Ivey, and Gabriel Byrne. Shelley Long played a woman who died choking on a South Korean chicken ball. Her sister, Zelda, who is played by the wonderful and very nice in person Judith Ivey, brings her sister back to life with a magic spell. And the last movie I want to talk about today from 1987 is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This is another one of those movies that's become a great family movie at our house to watch during the holidays. It was written, produced, and directed by John Hughes. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles had Steve Martin as this guy, and he was just trying to get home for Thanksgiving. And John Candy was a shower curtain ring salesman who ended up traveling with him because all the flights got canceled, and then the cars got canceled, and they couldn't get a rental car, and then there was a train, and then they were on a truck. And anyway, it's just a funny movie about how much it sucks to travel. Edie McClurg, who we talked about in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, plays a rental car agent. Be prepared because there's some bad words coming up in this scene. And while I don't condone using bad language in public like this, I totally understand the frustration when you're traveling.
Yeah, well, I'll see you tomorrow then. Gobble, gobble. Oh, bye-bye. Welcome to Marathon. May I help you?
Yes.
How may I help you?
You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile off your rosy fucking cheeks. Then you can give me a fucking automobile, a fucking Datsun, a fucking Toyota, a fucking Mustang, a fucking Buick, 4 fucking wheels and a seat.
I really don't care for the way you're speaking to me.
And I really don't care for the way your company left me in the middle of fucking nowhere with fucking keys to a fucking car that isn't fucking there. And I really didn't care to fucking walk down a fucking highway and across a fucking runway to get back here to have you smile at my fucking face. I want a fucking car right fucking now.
May I see your rental agreement?
I threw it away.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, what?
You're fussed.
It also had a great message about how we should be kind to other people because you don't really know what's going on in their lives. I'm really happy that we're ending this episode about 1987 with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because I would end that year myself as an expert traveler. Rolling up to the Avis rental counter, wearing my big shoulder pad blazer, asking for my rental car map, and then leaving the rental car parking lot blasting songs in my rented Chevy Caprice. Driving up Interstate 5 all the way to Bakersfield to eat dinner at Applebee's on my expense account. Let's just say I was putting my Bachelor of Fine Arts degree to good use. Join us next time when we talk about 1988. When Eddie the Eagle and the Jamaican bobsled team went to the Calgary Olympics, Tom Hanks had a great little movie called Big, and Bobby McFerrin reminded us, don't worry, be happy. Thanks for listening, everybody. Y'all have a great day.